Can we share something with you? It's a secret everybody needs to know, because what we're sharing includes everyone. At the Bay Club, we've got a totally new shared membership. Now up to 6 people can all become part of the Bay Club family together. Go ahead, add that motivating workout partner, that hoops-loving coworker, and that friend you love to share every moment with. Now that we've shared our membership, who will you share it with? Learn more at bayclubhappy.com or stop by a Bay Club to see what we have to share.
All right, we're at home with Claire, who is warming up for a bit of boxercise.
Yep, she's welcomed in the new year with a fancy new workout setup.
Look at that branded punch bag with matching gloves.
And that gorgeous coordinated athleisure.
So coordinated.
She is working out and working it.
Well, with prices this good on designer workout gear, how couldn't she?
Whoa!
She's back on the sofa.
With her feet in an excellently braced foot spa.
Iconic.
Get those toes to Marshall's.
Fabulous brands.
Feel good prices at Marshall's.
Sports Radio 610 presents In the Loop with John Lopez and Landry Locker.
A lot of reaction on the text line to Baker Mayfield, 713-572-4610. John Lopez is down.
I am.
I'm down from a content perspective, football perspective. I don't necessarily find that to be a productive move by Nick Caserio, but I wouldn't mind some competition for good old Davis Mills. I don't think we need to crown him just yet.
And the commercials.
And I guess they'd be
filming. They'd be at NRG.
Yeah, they could tape them at halftime.
Yeah, jokes. There you go again with the damn jokes.
Sometimes I do it just for myself. But you said it wouldn't be productive. I think, there's certainly, both sides are being, loopholes are voicing their opinion on both sides on the text board, 713-572-4610 if you're interested. You said productive. It's just, we're just conditioned to what's going to make them better, what's going to make them a playoff team, what's going to make them a winning team. It's not going to happen. That's not the big picture point here. The big picture point is show me something. Get fans interested again. Show me that you're on your way. Start the rebuild, and then all of a sudden you have draft picks and you've got hope, which has been completely lost this year. I don't know how many times I've said it. The one thing that frustrates me the most about this team right now is there's no hope. It's not about being a playoff team or even having a winning record. If you get to 9-8, awesome, but that's not what it's about. It's about having that hope, showing me something. I think Baker Mayfield at 27, with what he's been able to accomplish, what he could do with Davis Mills as a teammate and somewhat of a mentor, and what he could do for the fans who would be really – you can't say that fans wouldn't be interested in seeing Baker Mayfield.
Come on.
Right.
Of course.
I think that's why it's a good move. And because even for football reasons, what if he taps into something again? They were pretty high on Baker Mayfield in Cleveland not too long ago. And that, I'm not talking about fans only. I'm talking about the front office too. They didn't give him the contract, but I think they were discussing it, making him a franchise quarterback. So he's young enough that if he does tap into something, all right, you're good. And I think one of the more important things is you don't have to worry about quarterbacks for the next 1, maybe 2 years. Drafting one that high.
I think he would definitely be the most accountable guy in the building.
Correct.
I think say what you want about Baker Mayfield, and I've said a lot.
Yeah.
He's definitely the most accountable. Don't know how much that matters, although I'm told it all does matter.
You are told that.
That's what I've heard. I just don't know if Baker Mayfield is someone they would be interested in. I do wonder what the approach is going to be at the quarterback position, because I do think that Davis Mills has shown some things, but I don't think he's shown enough to where you can just crown Davis Mills and say Davis Mills is your starter. I think you'd be living in la la land if you think that even the good stuff we've seen from Davis Mills and Davis Mills at this point, from where he's at, based on where he was selected, based on everything that was said about him before the draft, based on what we saw from him in training camp when we were feet away from him watching him practice, based on the fact that they ideally didn't want him to get on the field as soon as they wanted him to. I think you can feel as good as you possibly want about Davis Mills, but even then, I mean, we're kidding ourselves if we sit here and say, you should feel comfortable with Davis Mills as your starting quarterback.
Hence, you want someone else in that can.
But does it have to
help
be
him
Baker Mayfield? Would be the question. Is Baker
No, it
Mayfield?
doesn't have to be. I'm saying I'd be down with it.
There are some guys, and this is what I wonder about Baker Mayfield, because I like competition, and I think a player with Baker Mayfield's level of talent and with Baker Mayfield's, I guess, upside is a weird way to put it, but with where he is in his career, that would be like an ideal guy to compete with Davis Mills, because I don't think he's too much of a threat to what you're going to do moving forward. My question is this. There are some quarterbacks that would be distractions if they were backups. Cam Newton himself earlier this year said, you don't want me to be a backup because I naturally have this aura and it's naturally a distraction, and it would be a bad thing for Mac Jones. Another rookie. That's Cam Newton in his own words. There's other examples, too, of guys that, like, if you bring them in and they're a backup quarterback, it brings too much attention and brings too much of a
That wouldn't be the case with
spectacle.
Baker Mayfield, and he would know it.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
You don't think a guy that's on TV every single commercial break with
be the
Davis
first.
Mills playing, like Davis Mills isn't going to Tom Brady Baker Mayfield. He's not going to push him like back to where there's going to be nothing said. If Davis Mills is on the field and we see Davis Mills make the mistakes that we've seen him make over the course of the season, there's going to be a hell of a push to get Baker Mayfield on the field.
I don't know about a hell of a push, but that's the case.
You're telling me a competitor like Baker Mayfield is just going to sit there and be able to be quiet watching Davis Mills play football?
That's not my point either. My point is this. Baker Mayfield is not Cam Newton. He hadn't won any MVPs. You know, he's not in that class. He's not that dynamic player that Cam Newton was.
But he has that same star appeal. I don't necessarily think it's
appeal.
about MVPs. I think it's also about like he has that much of a buzz, that much of an aura to where it could be a distraction.
But what I'm saying is, if he comes in here and Davis Mills flat out, fair and square, beats him out, that's what you want. You because that's why he came in here. And by the way, he would have to come in here with his tail between his legs and his eyes wide open, and I think he probably would. He would have that big chip on his shoulder, like as we talked about. But I think he would have both those things going on, and he's not. I mean, he's got star appeal.
Well,
in terms
you just
of,
went cliche like a mofo.
What did I say?
Got that chip on his shoulder and
Well,
that
I've said
star in his
that.
eyes.
Yeah.
You're falling in love with Baker Mayfield.
No, I'm
I didn't
not.
know you had this much of a crush.
I don't.
I didn't know it was like this. Did you know this, Figgy? I didn't know he loved your boy so much.
I
had no idea.
I don't, and it's wrong, and you're lying. All I'm saying is that this is a guy that fits the mold of what you want to have there with Davis Mills. No draft pick, no, certainly humbled, not exactly a superstar that's you're gonna expect. Like Tyrod Taylor came in expecting to be the starter because Davis Mills was a rookie and unproven, and there wasn't any other quarterback here. I don't think the same would be the case with Baker Mayfield. He wouldn't expect to be the starter. He would want it. He would want it.
I don't know about that. I think he'd come in like, nah, I'm better than this dude.
Good. I hope he does.
I could get this job.
I hope he would.
You want the
I should be
biggest
starting.
You want the biggest nobody's talking about of all time?
What's that?
Nobody's talking about Guy.
If Baker Mayfield came to Houston, would the organization allow him to get Jeff Driscoll's jersey number 6?
Yeah, I think that wouldn't be an issue.
You sure?
I think.
Now, are you sure? We're talking about Jeff Driscoll. He is the choice.
That's a great point. Just go back to a tight end number, big fella. And we've all agreed this is probably the worst season Baker Mayfield has had as a pro, right?
Yeah.
His numbers are almost identical to Davis Mills. His worst year. And we're sitting here, and
but it's Davis's first.
I know. I'm just saying that's why I want him here. His worst year is very comparable in terms of quarterback rating, yards per, and most of these he's better. Yards per game, touchdowns to interception ratio, completion percentage. Davis Mills has him on that slightly. So what I'm saying is Davis Mills, I would hope, would beat him out. But if Baker Mayfield can come in here and bring some excitement and maybe win a few games and give you that hope, as I mentioned, I'm down with it. I'm not in love with Baker Mayfield. I'm saying I think he's a perfect fit for what they need.
I think the text line is split right now. There's a poll already out. Adam the Bull out there in Philadelphia quote tweeted my question: do you want Baker Mayfield He hosts afternoons out there at 923 The Fan. Do you want Baker Mayfield in a Texans uniform next year? Adam the Bull said yes, all caps. Right now, we already have 700 votes. It's only been up for 15 minutes. 51% yes, 48% no. I think this is a nice balance of people that either say yay or nay to Baker Mayfield. Landry Locker, John Lopez, the legend Figgy Fig here on Houston Sports Leader, Sports Radio 610. So I got a text yesterday from a friend of mine, and this guy's always insightful. He's always analytical. Sometimes he says stuff that you're just like, dude, you're dumb.
Mm-hmm.
But then sometimes
we need to appreciate this man more.
Sometimes he says something, and I'm like, you know what? That's a hell of a thought right there.
Mm-hmm. That's the most underappreciated, excellent athlete in this city right now.
That's what happened last night. He asked me a question, and I got to tell you, man, it kept me up at night. I'm serious.
I was thinking about Eric Gordon in the shower last night.
Because I was really thinking about this before I went to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I was rolling around, and I don't know what to make of this. Am I accepting reality, or am I settling for something that shouldn't be settled for?
Right. Well, I'm interested.
Sean Pendergast has said this.
Mm-hmm.
I think Seth Payne has said this. I've said this. You've said this.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ron the Show Hughley's the one guy who, from the very beginning, has kind of been like, he's kind of been the one that's been shaking this out, and not really accepting this. But it's something that we've all said. Let's get into this coming up. Something that's been accepted. Should it be? Next.
Can we share something with you? It's a secret everybody needs to know, because what we're sharing includes everyone. At the Bay Club, we've got a totally new shared membership. Now up to 6 people can all become part of the Bay Club family together. Go ahead, add that motivating workout partner, that hoops-loving coworker, and that friend you love to share every moment with. Now that we've shared our membership, who will you share it with? Learn more at bayclubhappy.com or stop by a Bay Club to see what we have to share.
All right, we're at home with Claire, who is warming up for a bit of boxercise.
Yep, she's welcomed in the new year with a fancy new workout setup.
Look at that branded punch bag with matching gloves.
And that gorgeous coordinated athleisure.
So coordinated.
She is working out and working it.
Well, with prices this good on designer workout gear, how couldn't she?
Whoa!
She's back on the sofa.
With her feet in an excellently priced foot spa.
Iconic.
Get those toes to Marshall's.
Fabulous brands.
Feel good prices at Marshall's.
It's the story that's affecting us all in Southern California.
First case of Omicron COVID-19 variant here in the state of California.
Around the country.
Continuing in-depth team coverage on the U.S. reaction to the Omicron.
And around the globe.
You can now add France to the list.
To stay up to date on the latest with the coronavirus, stay connected to KNX on 97.1 FM. 97.1 FM is the new home for Southern California's only 24-hour local news and traffic station. KNX News, 97.1 FM.
Live from the Twin Peaks studios, Sports Radio 610 presents In the Loop with John Lopez and Landry Locker.
All right, 713-572-4610 if you want to get in. I received the following 4 texts last night. It was one of those where a question is asked, a statement is made, etc. The phone vibrates a few times, but there's one clear path.
You going to tell us who did it?
When it comes to the questions. Don't worry about it. They get pretty insightful, dude. Sometimes he makes me think. Sometimes he makes me roll my eyes.
Okay.
These are what the 4 texts said. And I think you're guilty of this. I'm guilty of this. I think most people at this station are guilty of this. I think some people around town are guilty of this. This is what the text had to say in regards to the mindset of Texans fans as the offseason approaches. We don't know the 100% status of David Culley, but I think there's been a consensus that most of us believe David Culley will be back, and it's just kind of a blah reaction. These were the texts. Text number 1, I have a question. Could have just asked it. Text number 2, how is it now an accepted thing? I'm intrigued. Text number 3, that the Texans aren't in the right position to hire a head coach. When has this ever happened? What other team has this situation? End of text.
Mm-hmm.
And it got me to thinking, because I'm one of the guys who has said this. I accept the fact. I think David Culley accepts the fact. And I think even people that are okay with David Culley coming back accept the fact that in a perfect world, if you're truly in position to win football games with the way that David Culley manages games and with the lack of tangible proof that David Culley is good at this gig, it doesn't make sense to have David Culley here. But maybe because of the situation, it does. But if I'm accepting and you're accepting that, oh, well, you know, there might be better head coaches. Hell, the Jags might be interviewing Matt Eberflus. Josh McDaniels might get interviewed. Eric Bieniemy might get an interview. Byron Leftwich is going to get an interview.
And those all are three big names.
All these big names are getting interviewed. Hell, Jim Harbaugh might come in the NFL per reports. One of the best short-term resumes in NFL history. If that's going on and I'm sitting here and saying this and I'm accepting it and I'm not getting any pushback from you and I don't think Sean's getting any pushback from Seth, is that just accepting reality? Or is that just settling for a situation that is just so effed up that that's the only way to make sense of it?
I think the difference is it all ties back together with the hope that this organization has and fans believe this organization has. People in the NFL know that. I've had discussions with people in the NFL who tell me kind of like the buzz about this team within the league. It ain't great. It's just not that good. Potential coaches know this. Keep in mind, a team never replaces its head coach when things are going well. You know,
right?
Ever. Well, but even at that, I'll give you the best example. It happened right here in this city. Even at that, teams that have a bad year and fire their coach, or he runs his course or whatever, people look at the roster, they look at the ownership, they look at the organization, and they look at the quarterback. Those are the four things that every potential, from the high school level all the way to the NFL. The roster, ownership, well, not high school and college ownership, but roster, ownership, quarterback, that's what they look at.
Right.
In 2013, the Texans won 2 games. They won 2 games, and it was one of the most desirable jobs in the NFL. Matt Schaub was still here. Arian Foster was here. DeAndre Hopkins was coming off his rookie year, or was a rookie. You had J.J. Watt. You had
number 1 overall pick
Ryan Griffin. So it was one of the most desirable jobs, and Bill O'Brien got the job, but even then, some of the names that were being bandied about were some big names.
The top end.
Yeah, the very top end. So my point is this. The reason that, guys like you just mentioned or being mentioned with the Jacksonville Jaguars is because they have those pieces. They're a worse team on the field than the Texans. But they have that hope. They have that the potential, and I know that's a weird word to use in sports and people use it all the time, but they have that. And so it's a very desirable job. The Texans' job is not desirable. It's not, because they don't have that hope. They don't have the draft picks. They don't have anybody on the roster that's worth keeping around, and even those that are, like Justin Reed, are going to move on. So that it puts the Texans in a really bad spot. That's why David Culley, and I've been saying this, Texans fans should want David Culley around for another year. Get through this. Get that hope a little bit. Get some draft picks. Get some players proving themselves on the field that will give the next coach something to build around.
I think the natural question would be, though, why couldn't a good coach be here instead of David Culley so he gets his feet under him? Is it just a matter of they wouldn't want to do it?
Well, there's another factor.
Is that where we're at?
There's another factor. I said the organization/owner.
I mean, do you not feel weird saying that, man? Like, yeah. I'm not saying that you're wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we got to change the way it is. I just think it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a weird situation. But think about that. We're literally saying that. And I just don't know how you don't take a step back. And I know it's Casario's reality. And I think one of the things that I think is unfair to Nick Caserio is I think sometimes it's difficult because we've had boots on the ground here the whole time. It's difficult to realize what he inherited and what was created before him.
Yeah.
But if I'm in that building and I'm Nick Caserio, regardless of if I inherited the Deshaun Watson drama,
mm-hmm.
regardless of if I inherited all these bad situations, I just don't know why, if there's still something in that building that created this situation, why I would still want that around. And maybe there's just nothing he can do about it, but I just think it's weird that we're in a position where we're saying this. Because Meltzer's the one who asked the question.
Right.
Questions. I don't know that I know of another situation where this made sense. Maybe San Francisco, where they hired Jim Tomsula.
Mm-hmm.
But they even punted on Jim Tomsula after 1 year.
Yeah.
They gave Chip Kelly a chance. Like they went with Chip Kelly, and then they got their Shanahan after Harbaugh. So it's not like the San Francisco 49ers, who were maybe even in a worse situation. They had an aging roster. They had, the quarterback
worst situation on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were coming off three straight NFC championship games. Like, they didn't say to themselves, well, it's very clear. And Jim Tomsula won 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't say to themselves in San Francisco, well, it's a bad situation, so we might as well just keep it going and run it back with Jim Tomsula. They at least tried Chip Kelly.
Because they didn't have that other factor factoring in, the one you're talking about. The Easterby culture, Cal. Because this is about ownership, too. And I just said one of the key things that every coach looks at is ownership. Whether it's right or wrong, teams are looking at this ownership and saying, man, I don't know it happened last year because of Easterby and Cal McNair not pulling the trigger on Easterby. There were very qualified candidates that said, yeah, no.
Yeah, there was a GM that was very popular that I have on pretty good authority said, I'm not working as long as that guy's in the building.
Right.
That did happen.
But that reflects on ownership, too.
I get it.
Right.
But so that's just – is that just the card we've been dealt? That's how we got to look at this?
Yes, and that's why this year you may even – even if they fired David Culley and they went after, I don't know, who's the name of really big hot – Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Let's say Harbaugh comes out of Michigan. He might just go, yeah, no, I'm going to look elsewhere.
He's not leaving Michigan for Houston.
No, well, I know. I was just using that as an example.
If Harbaugh goes to the NFL, first of all, I just think he's trying to get more money.
Chicago.
I think it would be Chicago, New York Giants, or Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Those are jobs that I think would appeal to him. But I was asked this question.
I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah. No, it's not happening.
Any coach like that's a really hot, big time candidate.
Yeah, not right now.
They're going to say no, not as long as that's happening down.
But the problem I have with it is I think and this is what is really frustrating about this, and I think this is what ticks a lot of people off, is just 365 days ago that wasn't the case.
No.
There was a case being made that Houston might be one of the more appealing jobs.
There was hope and there was energy when Bill O'Brien got fired, because you thought Easterby would just be interim and Cal McNair would have looked a lot more appealing as an owner for guys, for Bieniemy, for any of these guys,
Eberflus, whoever.
Saleh.
I think I just think it's incredible that I find myself saying, you find yourself saying this. Because normally this is a type of opinion. Think about this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is like the station is like a brotherhood. And one person says something, people pile up on it. And they say, what the hell is this guy saying? What is Landry saying? What is Show saying? What is Lopez said? Did you hear what he just said? In a normal world, if we were in New England, Tennessee, like anywhere else really but here, if there were a head coaching search and you had a head coach that clearly was in over his head as a head coach, and you'd seen it over the course of 16 games, if someone went on the air and said, well, it's not really a good job, so you might as well just run it back with him, he would get killed.
Yep.
That's the norm here.
Yep. Because you mentioned Tomsula, and we've had shows and segments on shows where we've talked about the worst coaches in NFL history, and David Culley is right there with them. And they're going to run it back. It's not just about David Culley then. It's about the organization and the Cal ownership and the roster being completely inept. And players who could be good on this roster leaving.
Right.
Or being pushed out.
It's very, very interesting. Landry Locker, John Lopez, Figgy Fig with you. By the way, Sean Pendergast just texted in, and he said the following. Lopez, you dropping Ryan Griffin alongside Arian Foster, Andre Johnson, and J.J. Watt as reasons the Texans' job was desirable in 2014 is the weirdest thing that's been said so far in 2022. I can't shake this.
I'm not going to disagree with that. Okay, I'll abridge that because he's right. Arian Foster, Matt Schaub, DeAndre Hopkins, Andre Johnson, Dwayne Brown was still here. J.J. Watt.
There you go. No Ryan Griffin.
That made this a very desirable job. My complete and utter apologies to Sean Pendergast and everybody else. That was a misspeak.
Coming up, a friend of Sean Pendergast and a radio legend. He takes a shot at the Houston Texans. Plus, the 305 is still in on 4. The hits are lit next.
Can we share something with you? It's a secret everybody needs to know because what we're sharing includes everyone. At the Bay Club, we've got a totally new shared membership. Now up to 6 people can all become part of the Bay Club family together. Go ahead, add that motivating workout partner, that hoops-loving coworker, and that friend you love to share every moment with. Now that we've shared our membership, who will you share it with? Learn more at bayclubhappy.com or stop by a Bay Club to see what we have to share.
All right, we're at home with Claire, who is warming up for a bit of boxercise.
Yep, she's welcomed in the new year with a fancy new workout setup.
Look at that branded punch bag with matching gloves.
And that gorgeous coordinated athleisure.
So coordinated.
She is working out and working it.
Well, with prices this good on designer workout gear, how couldn't she?
Whoa!
She's back on the sofa.
With her feet in an excellently priced foot spa.
Iconic.
Get those toes to Marshall's.
Fabulous brands.
Feel good prices at Marshall's.
That's Angel, finest girl west of the Rockies. I have to meet her.
Redeeming Love, based on the best-selling novel by Francine Rivers. Redeeming Love, in theaters January 21st. May be appropriate for children under 13.
Playing all the hits. These are the hot stories of the day. Brought to you by workformetro.org. You're listening to In the Loop with Houston's sports leader, Sports Radio 610.
One of Sean Pendergast's buddies took a shot at the Houston Texans. He was joined by Andre Roberts, former kick returner / punt returner for the Texans. Let's be honest, he stunk here. He doesn't stink with the Chargers, though.
He had a pretty good week, didn't he?
Much like he has for the majority of his career. Anywhere but Houston, Andre Roberts, he performs at a high level. Here is Andre Roberts with one of the best sports radio personalities of all time, Jim Rome.
Everybody in that league knows that it's a business. Easy to say that until you become a part of the business, right? So when you were released by the Texans back in October, what was that moment like for you?
It's funny you say that. For me, I feel like I still had a lot of juice left, and it was just the wrong situation for me in Houston. So when I had an opportunity to become a free agent and try to select a team, the Chargers were the right fit for me at the time.
To leave a situation like the one you were with, the Texans, and then to sign with the Chargers, and they were fired up. They wanted you pretty badly. What was it like to go from a team struggling just to compete to a team battling for a playoff spot and a new culture and situation midstream?
Yeah, I was just as excited as them to do that. Go to a team with the explosive offense and a young coach, what they're trying to build the right way there is nice to go to. It's a breath of fresh air, and I'm sure I was just excited as they were.
Dude, I'm sorry to say this. I'm going to editorialize. When you say that the situation with the Texans was not right for you, I'm going to argue that the situation for the Texans or with the Texans is not right for anybody. And the fact that these guys think that they didn't need you is pretty hilarious to me. That's my editorial comment in the middle of the interview. Listen, you've been around the league long. I'll say it, even if you can't, I can.
There we go. Jim Rome taking shots. Latest guy to take shots. Andre Roberts.
How about that laugh with Andre Roberts?
He should have never been brought here in the first place. It never made sense to bring in a guy who was just going to return kicks. And let's be honest, his performance was bad. He was terrible.
He wasn't good.
He's good elsewhere. One of the better kick returners in the NFL this year, which is what he was before he got here. The divorce was good. I heard Lovie Smith say that when talking about Zach Cunningham, who's going to be back. Could I interest you in a list of guys that still have Super Bowl dreams that were on Kirby the last 5 years? You want this list?
I would love to hear this list because every time I see something, I think, man, that guy was doing well.
Yeah, he used to be a Texan. Here's the entire list of guys that still have Super Bowl hopes as we go into the final week of the regular season in the NFL. Green Bay, you have Whitney Merciless and Randall Cobb. Both are injured. Cowboys, you have Brian Anger and Carlos Watkins. San Francisco, you have Charles Omenihu. Saints have Bradley Roby, Mark Ingram, and Kenny Stills. Tennessee has Deontay Foreman, Zach Cunningham, Dylan Cole, Dontrell Hilliard, who was in camp this year, Ben Jones, who
He's
started
been there a while.
He started virtually every game with the Titans since 2016 when the Texans let him go. Kendall Lamb, David Questenberry, and then Mike Vrabel, who was the DC.
Man.
Kansas City, you have Honey Boo Boo, which I don't fault the Texans for letting him go for the money he got. Buffalo, you have Brian Gain and Tywan Jones, one of the heroes the last time the Texans won a playoff game against the Bills, who he now plays for. The Bengals, you have Vernon Hargraves, DJ Reader, and Xavier Suafilo. Colts, Julian Davenport.
How about Julian?
A reserve offensive lineman there. Chargers, you have Steven Anderson. Can't believe he's still in the league. Christian Covington and Andre Roberts. So there's been a lot of guys, and I'm not saying those guys are like, you should have kept them type of guys. But there are a lot of guys that, familiar faces, that are probably happy, much like Andre Roberts appears to be, that they went elsewhere and have opportunities heading into the end of the season with the Texans just kind of treading water trying to get to the offseason.
How many times do we hear this, man? I mean, how many times do we hear guys like Whitney Merciless and Andre Roberts right there, pretty much like the sigh of relief that they're out of this situation. And I think we all know it doesn't have a whole lot to do with just going from a losing team to a winning team, because not all of them have gone to winning teams either.
Landry Locker, John Lopez, Figgy Fig with you here on Houston Sports Leader, Sports Radio 610. Derrick Henry, he has been cleared to practice for the Tennessee Titans. He could be back. Do you know Derrick Henry's sixth in the league in rushing? He has 937 yards.
How long has it been since
rushing?
He's
played 8 games all season, and he is sixth in the league in rushing. He only has 421 less yards than the entire Texans team. 8 games, 421 less yards. Derrick Henry, we could see him Sunday. We likely see him this year.
Sports Radio 610, Houston Texans breaking news.
Funny you say Derrick Henry's name. Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter reporting that the Titans have designated running back Derrick Henry to return today, clearing his way to practice today, meaning he could well be on the field on Sunday against the Houston Texans. How many yards does he need? 421?
Come on, John. There you go again with the damn jokes. There you go again with the damn jokes.
So Derrick Henry's been cleared to practice today, and John McClain says even if that happens, he probably won't play this Sunday.
I would rest him.
Yeah.
I would rest him. I would put him in the oxygen chamber and just get him. Do they need him? No. Have you seen the way Deontay's been running?
Well, they need him to get going, get back in gear.
Going on the side field.
Yeah. It'll be something to watch if he play, even if he just plays a half or something.
Dude eats creatine for lunch.
He does.
Dude doesn't need to play any football. That's his condiments.
Oh,
you
man.
have a salt and pepper shaker. He has a creatine. He's just sprinkling
on
creatine on his damn eggs. Yeah. Probably fried eggs.
You say that like you once took creatine.
No.
No?
Come on. Who are you talking to?
You weren't juicing?
Oh, no, I was not. Figgy's juice. I don't know what was going on with Figgy yesterday.
That was bizarre.
Weird.
What was weird about it?
You had a creepy vibe yesterday, bro.
How?
You had a big-ass cooler that you were carrying out here.
Yeah, he had a big-ass cooler. We asked him, what's going on with you? He's carrying the cooler with, his, trench coat or whatever, walking out of the building. And I'm like, are you juicing? Are you on a diet? He's like, no. And he walks out real quick. And we looked at each other like, what's going on with you, man?
I wasn't juicing. So I was supposed to get those juices back when I got my tooth pulled.
Oh.
I was going to do it then, but I got it late.
He's carrying around the bag.
It was kind of weird.
I didn't want to interrupt y'all conversation.
Is there a human head in there or something,
Dahmer?
Dahmer?
Anytime you want, Figgy.
Yeah, no, man. Y'all had it. Y'all got it.
Is there a human head in there?
I thought he was going to the hospital in a hurry because he had a kidney or something he had to transplant. I got 20 minutes, guys.
And he was hugging up on the wall, bunched to the wall with like the bag and stuff.
It was heavy.
Had like a kidney,
it was kind of heavy.
Had like a kidney pack.
Y'all sit there want to have a long ass conversation.
Ready to get out.
Worried about
when
my
you're ready
guy.
to get out, you're ready to get out.
Worried about my dude.
Yeah, something to do.
Yeah.
Normally you go out the other door though. Like you see down the hall, they're there, and you don't want to talk to them, so you just go out the other door.
Yeah, that's
No, that would have looked weird because I was right in that kitchen.
Oh,
so if I would have went all the way around, y'all seen me go out the other door, that would have been weird.
Yeah, yeah.
So at least
All right.
walk past and say, hey.
How'd the transplant go?
Successful.
It was a successful transplant.
Deshaun Watson. Apparently, according to the Miami Herald, the 305 is still interested in 4. So could 305 plus 4 equal trade?
Yeah.
Like that? 305 plus 4 equals trade.
Equals trade. Yeah.
Could it happen?
I you know my opinion on this for how many months now? 4. I said it's Miami. It's going to be Miami. It's always been Miami. I think others are going to get involved, but I think that's still one of the favorites, if not the favorite.
Speaking of Deshaun, this is what he had to say about Matt Eberflus, the Colts defensive coordinator last year as a potential head coach. Eberflus is set to interview in Jacksonville when the Colts season concludes. We don't know when that's going to happen, but this is what Deshaun Watson had to say about Eberflus when he was asked about him last year.
Matt's been, he's been very, very disciplined. That's the type that you want, from the players and the scheme that I've been playing against Indianapolis. They're about what they do, and they do it perfectly. And they understand, different concepts and what they want to do as a, Indianapolis coach defense. And that's why they've been so successful. So from what I've heard too about him, he's been, he's a great guy to play for. And, we'll see. It's so much of the unknown.
Well, I think he liked Eberflus. I think people overstated how much he liked Eberflus, but he definitely liked Eberflus to the point where he was seeking him out after games and such. Remember that? And chatting him up. I think that's what was the impetus of that conversation there. But Eberflus, also another one that fits in with what we were talking about earlier. He's going to be interviewed. It's already confirmed. He's going to interview with Jacksonville. Nothing like that happening with the Texans.
I think it could be a potential snowball effect because I think Eberflus, obviously, if he does get a job, it'll be the second straight year that one of Frank Reich's assistants got a job. I heard John McClain talking about Coach of the Year in the NFL, and he mentioned 4 names. It was with Payne and Pendergast. Fire up that Odyssey app if you want to check it out. He said Zach Taylor of the Bengals, which I think, good God. You can't go wrong there.
Yeah.
He mentioned Vrabel, and he mentioned a couple of other guys, but he didn't say Nick Sirianni. How do you not consider Nick Sirianni getting the Eagles to the playoffs with what they had, like one of the better jobs in the year? How does his name not even come up? I bring that up not to get in like a Nick Sirianni debate.
Yeah.
But just to say that it's an example of Frank Reich early on in the process, his assistant going and doing good things. So if Eberflus goes to Jacksonville, let's pretend he goes there. Mm-hmm. Let's pretend he gets it going. Let's pretend Jacksonville's a pretty decent team next year. Decent.
Mm-hmm.
Flirting with 500. But progress is clear, and most importantly, has Trevor Lawrence looking good and the defense playing well. Keep an eye on Bubba Ventrone, the special teams guy with the Indianapolis Colts. Bubba Ventrone played in New England when Caserio was there. Albert Breer says there's like a mysterious candidate that there's no hurry to hire. He has the same agent as Jack and Nick. I like Bubba Ventrone. I think he's going to be a good NFL head coach. I think if Eberflus has success, the next guy people are going to start talking about
is him.
Is going to be Bubba Ventrone. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on it.
I am, and I think you're right. And I think the Colts are fast becoming, if they're not already there, one of those teams that people are just going to try to start plucking their people from, front office, assistants, everything, because they seem to be doing it the right way and having a lot of success.
Landry Locker, John Lopez, Figgy Fig with you here on Houston Sports Leader, Sports Radio 610. Texas Bowl yesterday.
That was sad.
Kansas State, an assing of LSU 42-20. Now, I say assing of LSU. An assing of 38 LSU scholarship players and a DB/wide receiver/ fifth-year player at LSU who was recruited by Les Miles playing quarterback.
That's what was sad. I ended up, I started watching the game. K-State went down there, scored, and Then they bring out LSU's offense. I'm like, man, what is going on here? He had he did the best he could. I'll give him credit. But he had no business playing quarterback, and the result was about what you thought it would be.
Hell of a bowl game, though. Hell of a production out there.
They do a good job. They really
did what they could do. Yeah. Shout out to David Fletcher and everyone out there. The Texas Bowl. You heard it right here on Sports Radio 610. Landry Locker, John Lopez, Figgy Fig with you.
Can we share something with you? It's a secret everybody needs to know, because what we're sharing includes everyone. At the Bay Club, we've got a totally new shared membership. Now up to 6 people can all become part of the Bay Club family together. Go ahead, add that motivating workout partner, that hoops-loving coworker, and that friend you love to share every moment with. Now that we've shared our membership, who will you share it with? Learn more at bayclubhappy.com or stop by a Bay Club to see what we have to share.
All right, we're at home with Claire, who is warming up for a bit of boxercise.
Yep, she's welcomed in the new year with a fancy new workout setup.
Look at that branded punch bag with matching gloves.
And that gorgeous coordinated athleisure.
So coordinated.
She is working out and working it.
Well, with prices this good on designer workout gear, how couldn't she?
Whoa!
She's back on the sofa.
With her feet in an excellently priced foot spa.
Iconic.
Get those toes to Marshall's.
Fabulous brands.
Feel good prices at Marshall's.
When information matters to you,
that local gas prices could slide by as much as 30 to 40 cents a gallon.
when it affects your family,
Abortion and the U.S. Supreme Court, what the justices are saying.
when it's happening in your
An
neighborhood,
explosion involving an underground electrical vault has damaged an apartment building in North
KNX is
Hollywood.
there to bring all that information to you.
Much more coming up throughout the day here on KNX.
And now KNX is on FM, so you get that information static-free. KNX News, 97.1 FM.
David Coley's got the internet going nuts. We'll hear what David Coley had to say at noon. He's got the internet going nuts.
Interesting stuff on offenses and futures and a lot of things.
Man, David. Nick Caserio had John Lopez going nuts and the internet yesterday. This was Nick Caserio talking about fans. The atmosphere at NRG, which I cannot wait. One of my favorite days of the year. Tailgaters of the year. The Tailgater of the Year presented by H-E-B. Myself, J-Lo, Figgy, we will be emceeing this. And we'll be hanging out in the suites, saying what's up to the lucky listeners from yesterday. Shout out to all the loopholes and Sports Radio 610 listeners who won that. It's going to be a fun time celebration of fans returning and tailgating returning, quite honestly. But let's be honest. The atmosphere was blah. But Nick Caserio didn't say as much yesterday on Texans radio, and it's got the OG in his feels.
I would say the fan support really throughout the season has been great. I mean, once you get in, whether it's a New England game, you get into the Jets game, the Chargers game you mentioned, it's been pretty loud in the stadium. So I think, we've had support, from the fans and, from the area, which is quite frankly, awesome to see. I think they believe in the things that we're trying to do, and you're starting to see that come to fruition on the field. Understand we have a long runway in front of us and a long way to go, but when you play at home and you get the support from your fans, it brings a little juice, brings a little energy. I know the players sort of feed off of that.
I know he knows better than that, and I also know that he has to say that. I still think that this was a big miss by Nick Caserio. You're the general manager. You're the only person in the front office. Ownership, from Cal and Hannah to anyone, to certainly Jack Easterby, who's hiding in his cave. You're the only one that gets out there out front. And I understand what you're trying to do here. It's just a miss. It's an absolute miss. It wasn't great. It wasn't awesome to see. I don't know who these fans are that believe in what they're doing. If you're looking at percentages, I would say 10% believe in what they're doing. I think more than 10% believe in Nick Caserio's potential, but what they're doing, it would be something.
10%?
There's some hardcore fans in there, man. There's some and maybe I'm being
Caserio's got a pretty decent approval rating.
Yeah, in what he is and how he's handling things. But I'm talking about just in general. To sit there and do that, it was just a big miss because you're not. That would
So what would have been the perfect thing to say?
I'll put it this way. That would be fine to say.
Let me ask you. Let me be Vandy, and you just give me the Caserio answer. Ready?
I'm ready.
Fan Appreciation Day. I can't do a Vandy impression. It's Fan Appreciation Day. Texans got great fans. Nick, what is your thought on the fans in 2021? Rock and roll.
Well, again, I think it hasn't been – it's very clear that it hasn't been the best year for crowds at NRG Stadium. But I want to tell you, we are very confident that we're going to do everything we can, and we are doing everything we can to fill that stadium and regain Texans fans' confidence. For those that have been showing up, they've been as loud as they can, and we can't appreciate it more. That's all you had to do. Because – number one, Nick Caserio has a very well-earned...
But is he allowed to address that? That's the thing. Because I think the fans are the Easterby impact.
If he's
I'm
not
gonna
allowed...
I think it's the Easterby... Well, David Culley's not allowed to talk about the culture, and that's something that Easterby oversees. I don't think that they're allowed to address the clear Easterby impact. And the fans are not mad at Nick Caserio. They're mad at Easterby and everything that's happened leading up to Nick Caserio.
But listen to
so
what
I
you're
don't think
saying.
he can address it.
Listen to what you're saying, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong, though. If he's not allowed to say anything but that, then Jack Easterby has control of Nick Caserio. 100%. If that's the case, Jack Easterby controls what Nick Caserio can and can't say.
I think he controls what his impact is, and I think they're trying to brush it aside. But I think when you ask Nick,
well, then
Caserio,
that's a big problem.
Is it? I mean, it's a big problem if it were about personnel. Because on personnel, Nick Caserio, if you listen to that interview and you listen to what he says about personnel, there's transparency. You listen to what he says about wins and losses when he's with Sean and Seth, that's transparency. You listen to him calling them a startup, that's transparency. So the stuff that he controls, I think that he can say, but the stuff that Easterby has screwed up and the Easterby impact, I don't think he can say anything about it.
But you have to.
But how big of a problem is that?
But it's a huge problem if that's the case. What you're saying is true. But I think you would agree with this. While there is some transparency, he has a very well-earned reputation for saying a lot of words and not saying anything. He has a very well-earned reputation for that. What I'm saying is you missed this opportunity because of that reputation. People are just going to roll their eyes and go, yeah, right. Yeah, it's great. It's awesome, Nick. And, yeah, we believe in everything. We're confident in everything that you're doing. They're just going to roll their eyes where you could have said what I just said or some version of that, and people would be less apathetic. And that's the bigger problem. What he said might fly for a team like, I don't know, that has some talent but had a bad year and the coach is going to get fired. Those fans are just mad. That's the kind of fans that they're those fans are just mad. These fans are apathetic, and you can't regain that confidence by having them roll their eyes at you. That's my point. I understand, the idea of, well, we're going to try to put a good, happy face on all this, but that was a big missed opportunity for him.
Can we share something with you? It's a secret everybody needs to know, because what we're sharing includes everyone. At the Bay Club, we've got a totally new shared membership. Now up to 6 people can all become part of the Bay Club family together. Go ahead, add that motivating workout partner, that hoops-loving coworker, and that friend you love to share every moment with. Now that we've shared our membership, who will you share it with? Learn more at bayclubhappy.com or stop by a Bay Club to see what we have to share.
All right, we're at home with Claire, who is warming up for a bit of boxercise.
Yep, she's welcomed in the new year with a fancy new workout setup.
Look at that branded punch bag with matching gloves.
And that gorgeous coordinated athleisure.
So coordinated.
She is working out and working it.
Well, with prices this good on designer workout gear, how couldn't she?
Whoa!
She's back on the sofa.
With her feet in an excellently priced foot spa.
Iconic.
Get those toes to Marshall's.
Fabulous brands.
Feel good prices at Marshall's.
Based on the best-selling novel by Francine Rivers.
You have to stop thinking that I'm going to be something that I'm not. I've got too many demons. I don't know how to love.
On January 21st, there is no brokenness that love can't heal.
You did not choose the life you have, but you can choose the life you want.
Redeeming Love. In theaters January 21st. May be inappropriate for children under 13.